Purim Sameach Rabotai. We're continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Demai. We're up to Perek Vav, Mishnah Vav. The Mishnah says, Bet Shammai Amrim, Bet Shammai say, Lo imkor adam et zetav el chaver. A person may not sell his olives except to a chaver, somebody who is trustworthy, who is careful about the laws of Tumah and Tahara, because somebody who's not a chaver, he's assumed to be always tameh. If you sell the olives to him, he's going to make them tameh when he begins to press the oil from them, and it's forbidden to cause Tumah to tevel. Now the Mefarshim explain the Mishnah is talking about olives that were harvested but they weren't tithed. The olives cannot become tameh because in order for something to become tameh, olives like any other food, it has to first become mukhshar l'tumah, it has to become prepared. The only way to become prepared is if it becomes wet with one of these 7 liquids. We're going to see later on in Masechet Machshirin, Perek Vav, Mishnah Daled, what the liquids are, but one of the liquids is olive oil. So now, when the olives are going to begin oozing oil at the time of the pressing process, when they are packed together in a vat to soften them, someone who's not a chaver is assumed to be tameh. When he touches them, at that point he's going to make the olives tameh because you just made them susceptible. Because it's forbidden to cause tevel to become tameh. Why? Because of the tirumah portion inside. You're going to make that tameh as well. For this reason, Bet Shammai say, you're not allowed to sell olives to anybody who's not a chaver, who is not trustworthy, who is not careful about the laws of Tumah and Tahara, so that they don't become tameh. Bet Hillel say, Afla Maser, a person can sell his olives even to someone who's careful about tithes, about removing Tumot Masrot, even though he's not a chaver regarding the laws of Tumah, because since the olives are dry at the time when he's selling it to them, and it cannot become tameh, and it's also possible the buyer is going to eat them before they ever become susceptible, before they ever become prepared, it is permissible to sell it. And the Mefarshim explain, even though most olives are really bought to make oil and not to eat, the mere possibility, the fact that the buyer can use them in a permissible manner, that's enough to permit the sale. Obviously, the Mefarshim point out the buyer has to at least be somebody that's trustworthy to remove tithes properly, because we learned earlier in Perikei Mishnachet, you're not allowed to sell tevel produce to someone who might not tithe it. The Mishnah concludes, Utsnuei Bet Hillel hayu no'ogin k'divrei Bet Shammai. However, the modest ones of Bet Hillel, which the Mefarshim explain means those who are extremely careful about keeping mitzvot, they conducted themselves according to the opinion of Bet Shammai, and they only sold their olives to chaverim. That is the end, Rabotai, of Mishnah Vav. Mishnah Zayin is going to discuss now the tithing obligation of somebody who divides tevel with a partner who is not trustworthy to remove tithes. Now the Mishnah says, Shnaim shebatzu et karmeim letoch gat echat. If 2 partners picked the grapes from their vineyards and placed them into a single wine press. Now, the Mefarshim explain both vineyards were owned in partnership. The partners didn't divide their shares after the harvest, but rather what they did do, they placed all their grapes in the same wine press to make wine from them. Now, the wine that is produced is owned equally by both partners, and now they want to divide the wine. How do they divide it? The Mishnah says, Echad me'aser, ve'echad she'eno ma'aser. The way the partners are is one of the partners is trustworthy. He is trustworthy to separate Terumot and Maasrot, but one of the partners is not trustworthy to separate Terumot and Maasrot. Ha-maser me'aseret shelo. The one who separates tithes, the trustworthy partner, he has to tithe his half of the wine as definite tevel. V'chelko b'chol makom shu. And now it's a little encrypted how to read this line. We're going to read it as one of these simple ways. Additionally, he has to tithe half of his partner's share of the wine, wherever it is, meaning in conclusion, you're tithing this Ne'eman partner, this partner who's trustworthy is tithing 3/4 of the wine. And the Mefarshim explain, when the partners own the property jointly, they are each viewed as owning a piece of every part of it. In the case of the grapes, for example, each partner owns half of each grape and half of every drop of wine made from those grapes. Now, when they divide the wine, exactly half of what each partner receives was originally owned by the other one. They are exchanging shares. It's like a sale. In effect, each one is saying to the other one, you take one share and keep the half of that is really mine in exchange for letting me take the other share and keeping the half of it that's really yours, because we really own both halves. Now, since this exchange is considered like a sale, it's forbidden. We learned earlier in Perikei Mishnachet, you cannot sell tevel to somebody who will not tithe, or you can't sell tevel in general unless it's a pressing need. So the partner who's careful about the tithes, he has to make sure that the time they divide the wine, that he tithes not only the part he ends up keeping for himself, half the wine, but also half of what the other partner receives, in effect what I sold to him. Therefore, he really ends up tithing 3/4 of the wine. Umishum den berira, and the reason the Rav explains for this is because we hold this Tana, this Mishnah holds en berira. En berira means that even though at the end we see that this partner received this half and this partner received this half, we do not say that retroactively this is the half that they owned. Rather, we say that they're considered owners in each part, each grape, and each drop, all the way till the very end. Hilkach, therefore, even though he already separated half of what grew in the vineyard, he has to separate following the law of Demai, whatever half is in his friend's possession. That is the end of today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have a Purim Sameach. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.